Hey everyone, this is Andrea with Solheim Enterprises, and welcome to my mini lecture series. Today we're going to talk about trauma in special populations, and specifically I'm going to talk about the geriatric population and the pregnant population. In general, when we are doing trauma criteria, we're looking at mechanism of injury, anatomic criteria, so where is this injury happening, and physiologic criteria, so what's happening to my primary survey. While it's great that we have these criteria, sometimes we need to think a little bit more outside the box, and we need to over-activate because we need to be suspicious for certain situations. So talking first about the geriatric population. You know, a ground level fall for somebody on a blood thinner is a much bigger deal than just a ground level fall. So even though that might not be included on my mechanism of injury criteria, I need to be suspicious that this patient could have a traumatic head bleed. Another big thing to consider with the geriatric population is if they're taking something like a beta blocker or a calcium channel blocker. Those meds can slow heart rate. So you might look at your patient's vitals and say, oh, well, they're not having physiologic criteria, their heart rate's doing great. But that doesn't mean that they're not having blood loss. It's just that they've got a medication blunting their body's ability to compensate with tachycardia. So don't just go off the numbers. Think about the patient, think about their med list, and know that they are more prone to injury just based on the body's aging process. Now with the pregnant population, we have a big distractor, right? We've got a baby, and the baby scares us because we're ER people and babies are not our jam. But you cannot let that baby distract you because the number one way to save the baby is to save mom. So mom is your number one priority. That being said though, we also have to keep in mind that while mom's mechanism of injury might not be that impressive, her criteria might not seem that bad, she has a big change to her anatomy that we have to take into consideration. During pregnancy, plasma volumes increase by 50%, so mom could lose up to 2 liters before you start to see her having signs of shock. That baby could have a 2 to 5% mortality rate from very minor trauma. So even if that mom doesn't have a mechanism of injury that really impresses you, you should consider activating anyway because we're scared of that baby. That was a brief overview of special populations in trauma and why you should consider some additional details besides just those criteria in your trauma algorithm. Thanks for joining and stay tuned for more lectures.